We have new information tonight about what forced a change at the top of the Manlius Police Department. The I-team has dug into public records, emails, and minutes of key meetings, and what we found was Chief Michael Crowell had no intention of resigning until the town board hired an outside lawyer who specializes in forcing people out. We also looked closely at the founding agreement of the department and discovered the power to replace the chief does not lie with the town board.
In executive session, we reviewed an agreement between the town board and Police Chief Mike Crowell regarding his resignation.
A special Manlius Town Board meeting called for March 16th. Behind closed doors, board members sealed the fate of the chief of police.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So,
by unanimous vote, Chief Mike Crowell was out. The board called it a resignation. They paid the chief a full year's salary, $135,000 of taxpayer money. The separation agreement emphasized the decision was mutual. Yet our investigation shows the truth in mutual depends on how you define it.
He resigned.
Well, first of all, one could argue whether he resigned voluntarily or not.
Obviously. He signed an agreement.
He signed an agreement that you put in front of him after using the leverage of this investigation, right?
Yes. At the end of the day, Mike Crowell made a decision.
Right. Right. But he did not come to you on January 1st and say, I'm going to resign or retire.
No.
The investigation started on December 15th. The agreement is absent of any indication about why the town was investigating the chief. The board began the investigation as soon as they hired a Rochester area attorney with a reputation for moving people out of government positions. Attorney Carly Bolaños' name started appearing on board agendas and email threads with the chief. We obtained those emails through a Freedom of Information law request. And so did this investigation of the chief begin after she was hired?
Yeah, right around the same time, yeah.
And what did she bring to the table?
Experience, mostly in authoring a PIP that made sense. That
what's a PIP? I don't know.
The performance improvement plan.
Okay.
That was really the main reason we brought her in to leverage her experience with that.
As the board investigation began in December, the Manlius Police Committee got good news from the chief. The department was fully staffed for the first time in years.
We hope we're going to continue to provide a great work environment for those new people and build family, and hopefully they will stay with us. And I think that's about all I have.
That's great news about everything. We'll carry it forward to the town board and let them know.
Town board member Heather Waters chairs the police committee, the governing body of the department. This would be the last time that committee met for 5 months until Chief Crowell was out.
In January, when we received email the day of a police committee meeting that there was not going to be a meeting, I questioned why there was no meeting, and I got a very vague response of until we figure out everything going on with the police department, we were not having meetings.
Bobby Schepp represents Minoa on the police committee. The meeting stopped at the same time Councilor Waters was emailing and arranging meetings with Chief Crowell, other board members, and that attorney. Some background. The police committee was formed under a binding agreement in 1985 when the villages of Minoa, Fayetteville, and Manlius combined their police departments into one town-wide unit. That agreement gave the police committee clear responsibilities, including the power to employ and discharge the chief of the police department. This says they should have been telling you this is what we're doing.
I disagree. I had a
Go ahead. Show me. Show me where it doesn't say that it's the job of the police committee.
So this doesn't give the police committee the authority to accept a resignation, to employ and discharge.
What more does it need to say? It's about the guy working here.
And he decided to resign.
Yet I'm looking at the agreement here from 1985, and it says very specifically, the police committee has the responsibility to employ and discharge the chief of police.
That is correct. So in my eyes, Chief Crowell is still the chief of police in the town of Manlius. The police committee has never voted on this. We didn't vote on the compensation that he received as well. So in my eyes, this is a null and void agreement they've made with Chief Crowell.
The village mayors are not happy with getting locked out of moving out the chief. At the crux of that dispute, disregard for the police agreement, which explicitly states a sharing of power. It reads, the municipalities will jointly provide police services for their citizens.
How do you view this department? Is it the town's department, or is it a department comprised of 3 villages and the town of Manlius?
It's a town department.
Even though the police committee agreement that was signed by your predecessor in 1984 says otherwise?
Yes.
Now, so far to this point, the villages have not considered any legal action to enforce the police agreement that went into effect in 1985 and still is in place. The mayors have met with Supervisor Deere privately to discuss their concerns over how the chief was removed from his post. I did reach out to the now former chief. Well, new information tonight about the investigation into a 79-year-old man from Elbridge accused of shooting his wife of 36 years. 79-year-old Sherman Cottrell is now facing an attempted murder charge and a charge for weapons. He was arraigned via video feed while in his hospital bed at Krause.
His wife Donna remains in critical condition at Upstate. Morgan Scott reports.
79-year-old Sherman Cottrell and his 60-year-old wife Donna Cottrell have been married for 36 years before Sunday's shooting inside the couple's Elbridge home. Both the Onondaga County Sheriff and District Attorney's Office tell us there's no previous history of any other domestic disputes between the couple.
You don't normally see a husband and wife with no known history of domestic violence result in an attempted homicide case like this, particularly at that age. Right now, Monday afternoon, there's absolutely nothing indicative in his history that would have led someone to suspect an incident like this may have happened.
Sherman Cottrell placed a 911 call.
He just shot his wife on purpose because she was bothering him. We're still getting further. I'll keep you advised. Stated he didn't mean to shoot her the second time, but was shaking so hard. And the gun is now in the hall.
DA Fitzpatrick is now providing some answers to the questions everyone's asking. Why?
There was an argument about, sadly, alcohol, and allegedly Donna wanted to be driven to a bar or drive herself to a bar. The defendant didn't want that to happen. And then he wound up hiding her car keys from her. And it seems so trivial, but apparently this argument escalated to some point, resulting in the shooting.
The investigation continues and does involve blood work to determine if the husband or wife had alcohol in their system when the shooting occurred. Dispatch calls feature information just seconds into an emergency, and DA Fitzpatrick says they can only confirm what exactly was said by the suspect after hearing the exact 911 call. Given his age, if the 79-year-old husband is convicted of the charges he now faces, it could amount to a life sentence.
Punishment for murder in the second degree is 25 years to life. Punishment for attempted murder would be 25 years, and you're looking at a parole eligibility date of 104. And trust me, there are not many 104-year-old people walking around state prison, but nor is there an exemption in the penal law that says if you reach a certain age, you can commit murder with impunity.
In Syracuse, I'm Morgan Scott.
And while that sounds pretty simple to say, it is extraordinarily expensive. Here's CBS 5's Connor White.
Once upon a time, the spot where I'm currently standing in Madison County was primed for manufacturing jobs. But a lot of time has passed, and the wetlands have overgrown here, and it's a problem that's too expensive for the county to solve on their own, costing hundreds of local jobs.
That park was considered in 2002, 2004, shovel ready, ready to go. Wetlands were mitigated, just move in, and now you're looking at like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 credit, could be up to like $6 million to mitigate the wetlands now.
Madison County Board Chairman John Becker says the wetlands are the biggest obstacle to filling up the Harbor Lights Business Park. He says in 2019, a company was interested, but they backed out immediately when they learned it wasn't ready to go.
And they said if you had already done your wetland mitigation, we'd be here talking about moving.
Becker is now looking forward to the fall when Congress will debate legislation that could impact the future of the park.
Shovel-ready really matters, and this is the shovel-ready bill.
Senator Chuck Schumer announced new legislation to provide federal dollars for sites like these. He hopes to include it in an omnibus bill later this year.
This is going to guarantee that not only will Micron come, but many other companies will come here because there will be these great industrial parks.
Senator Schumer says they have interest from multiple supply chain companies related to microchip manufacturing. All they need is a space to go.
I think there are dozens of sites that are like the site here in Madison County that need a little bit of additional infrastructure.
Center State CEO leader Robert Simpson says once those kind of sites are ready, new jobs will follow.
Companies, they want predictability and they want certainty.
They'll have to apply like everyone else across the country to try to get this stuff cleared, but the hope is that they'll be able to get approval and bring jobs back.